Bien, y una bienvenida muy especial a Fej Shumuelevitz, CEO de WAZE, quien intervendrá en nuestra jornada académica con la conferencia Disrupción Digital para una Movilidad Inteligente. Bienvenido.
Hello, buenas tardes, good afternoon. I'm the kind of last one, but I hope that this will be interesting. My name is Fej, I come from WAZE. I've been with WAZE for almost, over 8 years. And the focus of my presentation today is about the disruption that WAZE has done and the way that we've actually kind of combined it into what we call the intelligent mobility. And specifically, I will focus on our Connected Cities, Connected Citizens program, which is definitely the way we kind of outsource the crowd to help us and help others to use the information in this digital age. Because I was not entirely sure if everybody knows what WAZE is. Wait, here we go. So I'll just briefly go about, I would say, what we call the magic of WAZE, and then I will focus on the Connected Citizen program, which I hope that cities in Colombia would join into, and show you also the impact. And beyond that, I will go a bit to some other programs that we have. But let's start with WAZE. So the aim that we have is to save every driver at least 5 minutes every day. It's obviously a tough challenge, but we think that we are definitely on the way there. If we look at WAZE, and just again so that everybody's understanding the way we built our information, if we looked at one WAZer, he's driving, we're collecting his GPS points. If there is another one, we track him as well. And slowly, when we accumulate enough WAZer information, you can see that there is starting to be a sort of a map. This is taken from Tel Aviv. This is one of the main centers. And you can see these are GPS points that are accumulated from a lot of WAZE users that have used the app. So we see ourselves as Wikipedia of the drivers. Everybody's contributing data, and based on that data, we provide the value back. So the map is looking something like this. Obviously, we need some additional information to make this something that is more presentable, more of a navigable map. You can add in, of course, the street names, some of the restrictions, and at the end of the day, this map combined with the real-time information that the WAZers provide, which you can see hereby. So there's an accident, police, traffic jams, etc. The layers are slowly built one on the other. We compile the map of the world every day. So every day we produce a new map of the whole world to make it as updated as possible. This is the static data. And beyond that, we put in the real-time data, which is the information that you see here and you see on the application when you use it. So if we want to activate this, this is a short example, and we won't see the whole video, but this is something that one of our editors did at the time in Europe. And what you see here the date. He started at the end of 2009, and he took a picture of the map of Bratislava on a daily basis. So you can see the map is slowly taking shape. In the beginning, there are some main highways and main roads, and slowly it takes form to be a real navigable map. The maps that you have today also in South America, and in this case Colombia, were built on a similar manner. You have here the red dots, which signify map problems. So if I drive from point A to point B, and there is no road in the middle, obviously there is some mistake here in the map, and this needs to be corrected. And this is the way that it was done globally. There's another example here from Prague. Simply people driving, and then editors, again, very much like the Wikipedia editors, that are actually editing the map and making it reflect the real situation in the city. And that's the reason why today, if there's a new road, there are people that are adding the road to the map, whether in Colombia, whether in anywhere in the world. And that road is immediately, again, as I said, 24 hours, is within the WAZE map and is used by everyone that's navigating. So this is one of the main aspects that we are trying to also tell the cities, and I'll get into that in a couple of minutes, because the information that we provide can help the cities do changes and see its effect on the actual usage. So I'll hop to the next slide. We can stop the video. Oh, too much. So just to make sure that we are all clear, we crowdsource everything. We crowdsource the GPS points, we crowdsource the data, the street names, etc., turn restrictions, and we have a very elaborate system of map editors that are dealing either with a small area or a city or a state or a country. We have all kind of levels of editors. And at the end of the day, our highest ranking editors are the ones that really kind of lead the countries. They manage the forums. We meet them once a year. We travel also to meet them in their respective countries. So I've been in, this year I've been in Argentina to our local Latin American conference. And there are additional ones in the East, in the United States, et cetera, et cetera. This is basically, and again, I wasn't sure how many people were familiar with WAZE. Basically, what you can see in WAZE, you can see the route, you can report all kind of information, and obviously, if there's an improved route, you get it at the end of the day. But I understand everybody's familiar here with WAZE, so we'll go over to the Connected Citizens. So what is the Connected Citizens? The Connected Citizens is actually a program that we started about 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago. We already partnered with 74 governments, municipalities, and other entities around the world. And the idea is that we provide information for free and receive information for free. So how does it go? Just going over the partners that we have all around the world. You can see here from Rio and Mexico City in Latin America up to Jakarta and other Australia. We have Perth as well, and Sydney. The idea is to cover as many metros as possible. So, how do we do it? We do it by providing the real-time information and getting back the more, I would say, planned information. So WAZE is very, very good on real-time events. If there's an accident, if there's a traffic jam, if there's some hazard on the road, WAZEs would report it almost immediately when they see it. On the other hand, municipalities and government have very, very good information about planned activities. So if there's a road that's being planned to be started or constructed in 2017, the relevant authorities already know about it. If the city has a parade or a marathon or is going to have a new neighborhood and have new street names, they definitely know that in advance. So the idea is that we exchange information, we provide them our data, and we get back their data. Both of us are free to use it as we want, and you'll see later how the municipalities are using it. So we provide the incidents, hazard jams, etc. It's anonymized, so there's no personal information, so it's just the event itself. You can see, the various details, because for hazards we have various options of roadkill and cars stuck on the road, etc., etc. But again, the idea is that we provide it in real time. So you report it, and the moment you see it on the application, the municipality or the government entity actually receives it as well. We provide score. We provide reliability counters because, as you know, in WAZE you have our thumbs up, thumbs down, or not there. And so the more people that are actually reporting the same event or giving it a thumbs up, or we have additional information to correlate it with, for example, in traffic jams, we give it a higher score, and based on that, the municipality or other entity can know exactly how good it is. What do we receive in return? We receive the events, we receive construction, we receive visits of if it could be the Pope. We are actually participated when the Pope visited Rio. We were actually working with the local authorities to block roads in real time based on his travel. We receive all kind of hazards that happen if there's a snowstorm or earthquake, etc. In this case, you have here shelters from Italy. So there was a severe storm, and they set up shelters, and we got the information on the shelters, populated it into the map, and the citizens were told that if they use WAZE, they can route to these shelters. And this is something that the exchange is done automatically, digitally, if I can say so. And in this way, both sides are, as I said, benefiting. Our partners are varied. So we have emergency authorities, toll road authorities. They provide us information about what's happening on the road. Police department as well. You will see later on that the New York Police Department wanted to kind of populate some information into WAZE, and we work with them. And overall, we're very flexible with the partners that we work with. What do we provide as part of the program? Apart from data, we have all kind of additional tools that the partners can use. We have a mobility dashboard. This is something whereas the city can decide on specific routes it wants to monitor, and they can see in real time what's happening on these routes. So if you have this highway going from the one side of the city to the other, they can see if there's an accident along that road. They can see if now the travel time is really, really long. And this is something that we started for radio stations, because this is something that they were interested in broadcasting, saying, on this road, it will take you 25 minutes to get in or get out of the city, etc. But later on, we got it into the cities. You can see here that the Boston mayor has it on his actual computer system, because he's interested to see what's happening in the city, and that's one of the dashboards that he has, that he can make his decision or ask questions, etc., etc. For specific unexpected events, they can also receive emails and alerts, so that if there's something severe happening and we identify it, they will be notified as well. because people are not all the time looking at the monitors. We have all kind of case studies. This is one from Boston. They were actually trying to understand how traffic jams can be improved, and they made all kind of statistics. You can see at the bottom right, over here, you can see it over here. Later on, you will see it a bit more detailed, but this is a graph that details the jams before and after they made some changes to the traffic lights. So they had the information, they didn't know what to do exactly. They thought of playing or changing the traffic lights based on the information they received from WAZE, and as you can see, there was a decrease in the traffic jams in these specific areas. So these are the kind of experiments that the municipalities are able to do based on WAZE data, and obviously, you know, they know their city, they know their systems better than anyone else. We just give them a bit of the tools. So this is one of the case studies, and we distribute it among all the partners so that they can learn from one another, because again, the ideas are at the end of the day coming from the partners. We have a forum where they can have discussions. The partners get a user and password. They can discuss all kinds of activities, suggest changes, report bugs, whatever they feel like doing. And likewise, we have a monthly newsletter where we update them on all kinds of activities or releases that we have or information that's coming from them. And we also had a summit where we do it once a year. Maybe we'll start doing it once half a year, where most of the partners are gathered together. In this case, it was 24 organizations, about 90 people. We met in the Google premises in Mountain View, and we had 2 days of really in-depth discussion and all kind of case studies, so that the folks could really see that the program is taking shape, and again, have direct connections. We have no problems that, you know, the municipality of Boston would talk to the municipality of Cartagena. If they can work together, they have all kind of ideas, fine by us. So this program is again, this section is overall about the program itself, and now we will look a bit about the impact. So you saw one of the impacts. You saw the impact of Boston and traffic jams. But let's look at some other examples. This is the way the Patriots Super Bowl parade was. Again, this is Boston. So obviously they won the Super Bowl. The next day they have a parade. They had to decide which roads are going to be blocked. And what closures they're going to do. This information was sent to us, and we populated it into the application so the people in the area of Boston could receive the exact information about the timing of the roads, where the parade is going to pass, and obviously where the parade is going to pass, you know, you can't drive. So we mark it on the map with those closure signals. We provide these pop-ups and inbox messages about that. And the idea is that the Boston municipality will then push as many of its citizens or people that are living there to use WAZE, and by that circumvent the jams and the problems that they would have on the road. Another one is for NYPD. They had a closure as well. This is the New York Police Department. In contrast to maybe what some people think, the police is not against WAZE. Even though you report police, in many cases, the police are actually happy, because one of the things they want to do is deter other users from speeding. So in many cases, police drive, you know, with their lights on and everything, so that people are, I would say, aware that there is police and then act accordingly. Likewise, if you report police, again, I don't know specifically about Colombia, There are definitely police departments that are quite good with that. And again, we have very good cooperation with the Newark Police Department, and this is where we got the information about the road closures for the 4th of July parade. This is a great example, and maybe we'll start the video on the next slide over here. And I don't, it has some, so let's decrease the volume. So, yeah, so this is actually a very interesting story. When we came up with this program, we wanted to pilot it somewhere. And we said, you know, where can we pilot it? Let's take a big event. In this case, it was the World Cup in Brazil. We said, let's see if we can talk to Rio and see if we can do this exchange and see what happens. We thought it's going to be a small center. And as you can see, you just saw over here, it's probably one of the best and biggest centers in the world. They have hundreds of people monitoring what's going on in Rio de Janeiro. They have cameras everywhere. They have ability to send and dispatch all kind of units to the appropriate place. And what you can see here is actually that there is a single room in Rio de Janeiro that controls everything that's happening on the road. They have crisis teams, they have intervention teams, and what they actually do is that they get our reports, they put it on the map. You can see there's a traffic jam over there. They then put the cameras into place so that they can see what's going on. And then if there is an accident or something like that, they will dispatch the relevant police or ambulance to that location. So now they don't have to keep people, you know, traveling all around the city. They can actually direct their resources to the right place to tackle the problems that they see there. So they overlay it on their display, and they're simply able then to use it and analyze it and get amazing results that help them to manage the city. So the more WAZEs there are, obviously there's more information. They can use it better. And obviously, for the World Cup, we got all the information about the events, the road closures, the activities that were taking place, and we could put it inside our map, and again, obviously have our users not get into these traffic jams or road blockage, etc. So that, oops. We went, yeah, okay. So that was Rio de Janeiro. Because this was so successful, we could then leverage this and start the program and try to get as many partners as possible. So we had all kind of conclusions and new ideas that came up from this pilot, and then we went and created our Connected Citizens. So what we do is we ask the partners to integrate the data as much as they can to their centers. We ask them to use it in any way they want internally to do their analysis, which is exactly what you saw. And we have direct communication channels so that anything that happens, if there's a crisis, we can help them. So Google has a team that is involved in places like Haiti, Japan, when they had the earthquakes, etc. And we do it as well in these big events, but also on smaller events like floods or snowstorms, etc. For emergency purposes, I mentioned it a bit before. Again, this is the example from Italy, and also there's another example of a flood. The idea is that we get emergency information. We have people that are waiting and populating it into WAZE, and so people can, you know, easily get to shelters, easily understand what's going on, can drive their cars and not get into flooded areas, etc., etc. Hurricane Sandy was another example. We were in direct contact with the Department of Energy. The problem there was that there was no fuel in the fuel stations, so people could not use it for heat, could not get fuel for their cars and try to leave areas. And so the WAZEs actually reported, we asked them specifically to report which gas stations had gas. And so these gas stations, we populated them on the map and told the Department of Energy where there was no gas so they could dispatch their gas carriers to add fuel to these stations. So this was kind of like a moving operation, which we did for a week. It wasn't exactly automatic in this sense, but it was a way to get real-time information from our users on what's happening when the US government didn't really have a clear picture of what was going on the ground. Some additional applications. The interesting one is the one on the right, which is something that we added, is the Amber Alert. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. Amber Alert is for kids that are kidnapped. So in the US, they have ability to provide information about abducted kids. They provide the information with the kid's picture, maybe details of a car, etc. And what we do is we put it in the geographic information, again, automatically. We set up a connection to the Amber Alert providers. They're called NCMEC. And they push us this information. We populate it on the WAZE app. And if someone sees that, sees that information and luckily maybe sees the car or the child, obviously they can save them. A bit about the analysis. This is some of the information that came from Brazil, so you can read it even more than I can. These are examples of graphs that they did for all kind of traffic jams that occurred in the area. And you can see that this is the information they get from us is something that's very, very useful. It's comprehensive, it's complete, it's real time, it's throughout the day, 24 hours a day. They take it and they derive from it what they think is relevant. So this is one example. This is the other example that I told you about the traffic lights, where they changed the timing of the lights and the traffic jams decreased. And the next one is really interesting. This is something that Boston compared calls that were received by 911 versus WAZE. And 70% of the cases, people reported accidents before 911 got the call. So it means that someone saw an accident, reported it, they got it and saw it in their database, and only afterwards actually someone called in and called 911. There is at least one case that we know about that at least the ambulance that was dispatched said that the 5 minutes difference between the time that they got it from WAZE and dispatched the ambulance versus the actual call and request for the ambulance, because they saw that there was an accident and dispatched an ambulance immediately, it most likely saved that injured person, that passenger or driver's life. So again, the speed that this is received is something that's of utmost importance. And this is part of the benefit that we see as an integral part of what we want to do. But also, I think from the cities and municipalities and government entities, we give it for them for free so they can use it. So it's for the benefit of the good, and at the end of the day, it's just a matter of connecting the dots. So if there is an interface, if there is a center, if there is ability to connect it to the right, the relevant parties, whether it is ambulance, police, etc., this is what we aim to do. Again, congestion, before and after, they did analysis. We talked about it. Some more interesting phenomena, we actually are piloting to show snow plows on the road, so that in case of a blizzard, the interesting streets are those that were plowed by the snow plowers. So the cars would actually follow these snow plows, and then they can get out because the rest of the roads are blocked. You can see here again the part of the reports that our partners are actually doing. We know that, again, I don't remember which city it is, they are looking for reports about traffic jams and cars on the side of the road, because in many cases people double park. So when they see this double park, they send the relevant people to actually give fines to people that double park there. So that's an interesting usage as well. So that was the Connected Citizens. I just want to touch base on some additional programs that we have, which again, aim to see how we can share the data that we have, with the relevant parties. First one is what we call our broadcaster program. So this is a special kind of tailored WAZE version that TV broadcasters can use in their daily show. Usually there's a morning and an evening show that deals with traffic information, and the traffic anchors can then use this to show what's happening on the road, get reports in real time. As it indicates there, we have over 150 partners around the world that are using it. I think some like 50 in the US alone. So we try to partner with a TV station in every metro. So it would be, let's say, ABC7 in Los Angeles, Fox News in San Francisco, another station in Dallas, and they would use WAZE, again, for free. So they promote us on their TV broadcast, and we provide them the information so that, their listeners can actually get the information. This is a new program that we have, Transport SDK, which we want to be used by taxi and other fleet management systems. So we actually provide the route information to the application so that the driver can, I would say, switch between two of the programs. So for example, today, if you drive with an Uber driver, once he gets your information and arrives at the location to pick you up, he later on, at least here the way I saw it, looks at his device and tries to understand where he's going. The idea is that he can switch between Waze and Uber continuously, and then he can get the best route, use Waze, but still have the Uber-related information available, and vice versa. So this is a new program. We have 6 partners, but we're definitely looking for expansion of that. And this also is brand new. We piloted it in Tel Aviv, and we just announced a pilot in the Bay Area in the US. This is our carpool app. The idea is to utilize the empty seats that exist in every car. So if you look globally, the amount of passengers in a car is 1.1 on an average. Most of the cars are driver only, and our idea is to have the driver pick up at least one passenger. Right now we're talking about one on his commute. So if I'm driving from my neighborhood to work, or if I'm going, if I'm a workplace and all my employees are coming in, it's natural that you'll have carpooling. The idea is that you use Waze as a driver. We have a new app of the carpool rider for the riders. And the idea is that we link them together based on the information that we have about your home, your work, etc., about your driving habits. And the idea is that you linked the information with, let's say, Facebook or LinkedIn or something like that. And so the driver and the rider can hopefully know one another and then drive together to work and vice versa. So we piloted it again in Israel for about half a year. Now we're starting it in the Bay. We think this is very promising. We are familiar with a lot of cases in Europe, at least, where it's something that kind of evolved by itself, that people are standing near highways in kind of stations and are being paid just to drive to the next city, because then they can drive on the high occupancy vehicle lanes. So they're like carpool lanes, but you need to have at least one person, at least one passenger, so 2 persons and above. So drivers that have an empty car stop by, pick someone up, give him a certain amount of money, drop him in the next city, and then in the next city there's a driver coming back. He picks him up again in the entrance to the highway and takes him back and pays for it. So the idea is to, improve on this and hopefully make this something that is useful and green, reducing the number of cars. Obviously, the only way at the end of the day to really combat traffic jams and the overall situation in the roads worldwide is to have less cars. And hopefully, if this succeeds, this is something that will indeed reduce the traffic jams. Oops, that's it.